Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and thank you very much for joining me on this day of the Honored Hero. Yes, we're getting back into our Day of series. I promised we would do a year of this, and while navigating a little bit away from the main theme, the idea here is for um, giving us some mental fuel for our creative process, especially when we're world building. And one of those things is using this mechanism of the day of. So, especially if you are into fantasy gaming or any kind of gaming, we're taking a prompt and building upon it. Now, here in the States today is uh, a political holiday, what's considered political holiday. I'm a letter carrier. I work for a government agency that delivers the mail. And on this day, it is a holiday, Martin Luther King's birthday. And I thought, for some reason, yeah, Beno's like, yeah, getting up at 5 on Monday is not for heroes. Yeah. Uh, so, yeah, Drew's like, honors for suckers. Oh, yeah, that depends on how much you. That's a whole nother discussion I was actually thinking about doing on a day of maybe later this week or whatever. But it made me think about the one of the simplest ideas that we use, basically, like if you're an old grognard and you're into the OSR, um honoring heroes is a big thing. Like that's just it's like the, I don't know, like top 5 easiest mechanism to get people to go down deep into your dungeons. And it made me think, like, why didn't I think of this before? This is a very simple prompt. So the idea behind today will be, in your fantasy world and your fantasy gaming, um, there may be, and most likely is, some kind of day, a festival, a monument, a particular season or whatever happening in some corner of your world that honors a fallen hero. And we're going to use that to discover, like, well, what real, this is within a fantasy, what real world events happened that led up to the honoring of this hero, and what on this day, the conflict, the adventure that can happen. Of course, we're going to start very basic and very simple, and then we're going to start to make this a little bit more complicated as relates to, as we get move a little bit closer into today's connotations of why would we honor a fallen hero, and how that hero falls, and the life and tribulations of that hero, whether they have been mythologized and essentially turned into a um, they're no longer human. They are of a, like, a Celestine nature, or is this hero very much a grounded, um, working class type of hero honored in a world where maybe those kind of things are not very common? So we're going to talk about that, get into that as well. Let me get into our what our co-hosts have to say here very early in the morning here in the States, of course. Yeah, a heroic dose of speed just to get. I don't know if that's necessarily needed. Uh, Although I think you'd probably be a great hero in your own mind. Oh man. All right. Yeah, Caligula's is like, anybody can be internet famous. All it takes is one bad accident caught on camera. Yeah, very much so. Although that's more infamy and fades pretty quickly, I think. Okay, so um, let's start at our purest basic level. So we've got ourselves an old um, blue graph lined, squared, 10-foot square map from the OSR. And how many times have we seen this adventure, right? Where the heroes come upon an old crypt. Maybe there's a placard or a monument or a statue or something that reveals an ancient history of a hero. Players go into crypt and they fight bad guys. And one of the things about having this Day of series is impressing upon both us as creators and players that involved in it that we should add value to uncovering knowledge. There should be some clues and rumors and interactions. If your players are invested in your world, reward them for just being excited to be in your world, uncovering that next stone that reveals, ancient hieroglyphics or something, questioning individuals within the city that tend to be uh, very stoic. They don't like to talk to strangers, but somehow the players pull out of them these histories and these secrets and such, and then honoring your players' investment by rewarding them. And in the OSR, the real reason, the 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 best reason for uncovering secrets and why a day is honored, whether there's a great festival or whether um, and people are have dressing in costumes and there's food and merriment, or it's the opposite. Maybe it's very somber. People are wearing um, dressed in a specific color, usually dark and dour. Maybe they paint their faces, or um, there could be words of attrition or something where it is a dark day, and the reasons why those things happen. And I think one of the great things about doing that is that it can lead to the clues within the dungeon. So if they go into the crypt, did the hero vanquish purple skinned monsters that had, three arms and a face full of teeth with no eyes or nose, like a lamprey? And they, though they walked on two legs, they slithered on their stomachs like snakes or something. And then the players are like, oh, well, are these just rumors or is this real? And when they go into the dungeon, maybe they find out that it wasn't really a rumor. These monsters were real, and it gives them a clue for survival. Um, let's see. The Shy Squad says, have you ever noticed how the old D&D basic set has better rewards for becoming a hero than the real AD&D? I've noticed that. It's from anything from titles to connections to outer world beings. I mean, there was a lot more reward for doing the thing, from reputation to, heck, just being given. Sometimes you clear a dungeon, and that was a reward unto itself. It was like, oh yeah, that old castle. Guess what? It's yours now, and you get to defend the border. You end up becoming the leader of the keep on the borderlands kind of thing. Yeah. Mike says, Day of Honored Hero. Is this like a Remembrance Day or Veterans Day thing? Remember the fallen, etc. I ask because adding special days or festivals is something I tend to do for cultures. Somewhat, yes. So this whole, like the ticker below, the day of could be anything you want, right? Like, and I'm just using a prompt for honored heroes. Now, here in the States, it is Martin Luther King's birthday. So I want to apply a twist to what we consider an honored hero. So if they've fallen, was it because of your classic going into battle, battling against warriors? Like I said, we want to do something very basic, fighting against evil. And on this day of that, maybe that great evil rears its ugly head because of a deep-seated hatred for being vanquished. It could be there's a cult. You always have to have those like underground cults that are like, one day our evil will rise up again. Or is it a little more insidious? Are there people who this hero changed society, changed the cultures and laws more than raising a sword to evil? Was this more of a getting rid of the nobility, getting rid of uh, a political system or laws or whatever that were enacted, and changing the way we think of things? And are there people who really wish things went back to the way they were? Right. You know, the great emancipation of the elves from the enslaving culture of the dwarves could have been overturned by this hero, who today everyone walks around in equality and diversity living in a city. But there might be people there that are like, I kind of wish the elves were back in chains or something. And that again is a little bit more subtlety, because the players and the people, even the current modern day folk you have in your fantasy setting, maybe they don't even know about it, or they've heard rumors of it, but they're like, I mean, that was back then. Nobody's really into that now, and it could very much be the birthplace of the Surf Neblin and the, I can't pronounce all their names, Drow, and the evil underworld darker races you have in classic Dungeons and Dragons, or something else in your world. Shai says you accumulate followers and servants, eventually get a castle, etc. But in real AD&D, you hit 10th level and just keep going on. The basic red box was kind of a more realistic in that way. Yeah, no one even really remembers that period of time. Back in the day, around 10th level, maybe lower, maybe 9th or 8th, and all the way up to maybe 11th or 12th level, depending on the character class you had. As you gained levels, you gained followers, retainers, hirelings. You were expected to lay down your roots, have a castle, a keep, a religious institution. Heck, you're back in the day, your thieves, your rogues today, would establish a guild, criminalized, but sure, you would establish a guild or something of that nature. So yeah, Wizard's Tower, yeah, those, and then from there, the legacy continued, because then you would play your followers who became characters and such. Yeah, don't even see that any longer. And we had some fun doing like the keep, castle, kingmaker kind of play. Kind of cool. Drew says, imagine the supposedly heroic paladin that had actually been a warlock. That's possible too. We could always twist it. Like, how did the hero win against an impossible evil? Maybe the hero gave of themselves, or maybe they did some horrific things that the populace didn't know about and was sealed into a crypt or something, or the hero or our current day protagonists uncover maybe a dark secret that the elders of a community are like, we just don't go digging into the history. This honored hero solved a problem, but how they solved it might have been a little bit dangerous. Yeah, are you a hero if you save your own life? A bit. Quitting smoking for heroes. Yeah, that's possible too. Yeah. Mike says the Orcs of Thol have a 3-day long ceremony, once a year, where participants partake in fasting and combat to remember their past when they were in chains to demonic forces. It reflects the sacrifices they made to be free. I love things like that, like playing out and this is the idea of the day of, right? People playing out histories and then rewarding the players for engaging in those kind of things. For example, what if your current players maybe take with them the ring of flowers, the medallions, the cloaks, that blue scarf I bothered bringing up the other day or whatever, and if they take that into the dungeon or crypt or into the deep valley or whatever, maybe that is a sign that gives them, where normally they would just be murder killed, maybe it opens up path of communication with strangers on the other side of the valley or something like that. Caligula says, yeah, become the hero of the cult. Extract enough endochrome from the children's blood and get a Cultist of the Week award. Yeah, you always have to have cultists and sacrifices, right? That's just such a trope that, I don't know, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Drew says, elves are horrible slaves. I mean, they're so useless. I suppose maybe that's where their arrogance comes from. They're able to like distill pure arrogance and take it with them or something. I don't know. But also, going back to our honored hero theme, if you're designing a classic or not so classic dungeon, having regions or rooms or areas or pathways that kind of foretell or retell the story of the fallen hero would make a lot of sense for the players to put 2 and 2 together, right? If you want to do a 5-room dungeon, you could literally make a 5-room dungeon, and I mean that it doesn't have to be literally 5 rooms, but what I mean is the the path of the hero's journey, or the heroine's labyrinth, really. During that pathway, it could the players could be literally falling into the steps of the fallen hero and piecing evidence together, like, oh, wait a minute, this is the third step of the hero. The fourth step must be, and they remember, I don't know, the hero was drowned or something like that, and almost drowned and swept away by a raging river. But the PCs are like, boy, it's really, this is a dry gully. And then all of a sudden they hear like a roaring on the horizon. They're like, I think we're going to get, you know, a big great flood is going to happen today. And then of course maybe some villains confront them, and then there's a wave of water that sweeps through the dry gully or whatever. So it could be reliving the footsteps of this great hero. Also, um, oftentimes uh, when history is told by the the um, the victorious, and which means that many details are left out. Real world details are left out to honor a great hero. And also, you got page count, right? So you're going to put up a monument or a statue or have a festival for a great hero. Uh, the nuances get lost in the sands of time, simply just because of practicality, right? We know that, for example, today being Martin Luther King's birthday, we know Martin Luther King was just a regular old person, right? He had affairs, and some, when people delve into someone's history, they aren't as perfect as we like to think of them. I look at it as an individual who's just a human being who, through various circumstances, brought about a great change. And the players may uncover some of these, like, little nuances. The classic knight with great sword fighting evil. Maybe they were a little bit, maybe they were brutal. Maybe they failed, and instead the other people were led to victory, and no one wanted to say that this great hero that led them actually died halfway through the adventure. And they were like, yeah, we don't want to take credit. This person is the one that brought us from our meager origins to ride alongside this knight. So we're just going to say the knight did it, right? I mean, those are possibilities as well. Yeah, Drew's like, nobody can afford a 5-room dungeon in this economy. The rent is simply too high. 3.5 rooms are the most that I can afford. Hey, day of rising prices. That's not a bad day to have, of a terrible economy and out of control inflation. Yeah, day of uh day of economics and balancing ledgers. Yeah, Victor's writing the history. That's how Caligula got such a bad name. Oh, you're so funny. Oh man. Yeah, Shit Lord says MLK got mad play, yo. Yeah, he sure did. Yeah. Yeah. That happens with, you start gaining influence and power and notoriety, and you get groupies when it comes to that stuff. Even though people don't like to admit it. Yeah. Mark Desune, what's going on, Desune? The real dungeon was the capitalistic paperwork we did along the way. Can you imagine a bunch of goblins and like farmers and things like that going like, we're going to have war once we get this paperwork done. Oh man. Mike says, I miss the days of strongholds and followers. Yeah, and not what Matt Colville created, what AD&D did. I think it's all there in AD&D DMG. It sure was. Yeah, the idea that you would create a zero to hero to retirement, it's just like, I'm at 10th level. I'm going to keep adventuring to 11th level. And it's like that, 20th level wasn't intended for that purpose, but whatever. You can get a discount on dungeon rent if you do all the housework. All you need is a gelatinous cube. Hells yes. Gelatinous cube. What is it? 2.5 kids and a pet mimic, maybe. Dungeon rent isn't too high over here. Really? It's brutally high here in the States. Oh man. And I'm sure in many places, Europe and stuff around the world, really. Just when the economies are just horrible, it's crazy. We often joke about the how horrible economies are, like with gold and things like that in fantasy gaming. But um, our group very early on realized like it doesn't make any sense for heroes to uh, bring back wagons full of gold into these like small copper economy places. But Bernard says low rent. It's one of the benefits of a post-communist hellscape. Wow, that that's a that's a very descriptive line there. I have to say, their taste very descriptive. It's giving me ideas of like wow, post-communist hellscape. Sorry, it's the creative energies in me. I don't want to presume that people are like, oh, this is great. It's like, no, no. We can all find the terrible things that happen. So, in this day of the fallen of our fallen heroes or hero or heroes or what have you, flipping it on its head, it could be that the great evil that's on the other side of the valley was never the great evil to begin with, or adding quite a bit of nuance. A great hero or figure, public figure, something could have parlayed a piece that hadn't come for thousand years, right? And today we look at it as just commonly characters get to pick and choose whatever they want, but maybe back in the day this wasn't the case. um, Heck, this hero could have changed the rules of magic or things of that nature. Built a um, um, I want to say like a communal, something communal that was built and grand, like an aqueduct or a bridge or um, a moat, a great wall. Something like that could have been built by this honored hero. So a hero doesn't necessarily need to slaughter something, although that's a very easy way of doing it. It could be that the players maybe know of a great knight or hero and they get there and they realize that, well, there's a little bit more to it than we were thinking. And whether through arcane outer world experiences or maybe people just dressing in costumes, maybe today is the day that they reenact the events that they think happened on that day. So it could be a matter of a great hero going into a battle and then losing, and then that great evil stands above them, but then their lowly squire stands up to the great evil, and the great evil laughs it away. But then the squire had a great idea, and it's similar to a David and Goliath story, and then the great evil is taken down, and then the squire has to go back to town, but no one's going to believe the squire, so it goes back. Like there could be like these little story beats, and the players are the conflicts the players are going through could be part of those story beats. Yeah, the hero built the sewer system. That is true heroism. Yeah, the hero got everybody to wash their hands. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Yeah, there's little things like that. Well, the the individual that gave away the cure to polio is a great hero. Although the pharmaceutical industry, worldwide pharmaceutical industry, was like, we'll never ever do that ever again, ever. People, yeah, you want to live, you're going to pay for it. But the doctor that discovered a cure for polio and gave it away for free, um that's someone who has healed people or fed people or discovered a new land when people were lost, or uh people had to the society had to escape a vast devastation, whether it was just a normal, I don't know, meteor strike, volcanism, flooding, tsunamis, disease, or something, or it could be something far more arcane. A portal opened up, the overbreeding of a great monster, um, the wrathful hand of a petty god or something, and maybe people had to flee. And this great hero was like, no, we're gonna establish our lives here, and the players are now involved in such a thing. Now, going back to the very basic, hero defeats evil everyone's happy. Heroes now, I mean, our current day adventurers discover or reenact, these particular things. You can go into a dungeon of sorts, and the clues the characters pick up are the ones that are there. For example, maybe strange bedfellows came together. Normally, the great evil lands on the other side of the valley are too chaotic for them to organize, but a powerful, I don't know, classic dragon, lich, vampire lord, giant, whatever. Some great evil brought strange bedfellows together, organized them, and this great hero dispatched them. So when the players go into the dungeon, they may discover that one side was led by a Medusa, and another side was led by the Ooze Queen, and then the other side was led by um, uh, I don't know, the brutalistic giants or whatever. And then there's another section that was led by a great wizard, whatnot. And those clues may allow the players to survive. Maybe there are traps, there's environmental hazards, there are monsters that are only vulnerable to silver, or are blind and are not affected by the characters casting illusions because they run by scent or sonar or something. um, Bernard says the whole thing about the pharmaceutical industry preventing cures from coming out on the market, that's not just a conspiracy theory, is it? Yeah, that's not just a conspiracy theory. Right. It's why there's no cure for the common cold, which I'm still trying to get over. Um, I don't know. It's probably something worse, more worse than a cold. I can guarantee you guys can hear it in me. But yes, I mean, maybe this great hero that cured a a lycanthropic style disease rears its head every year, maybe like real world um, afflictions that happened seasonally or something like that. Maybe on this day, everyone, pins wolf's bane or something to their clothing because of the lycanthropy that was spread through the region that this individual was able to cure and save. By curing it, saving many of the people who live there instead of having them turn into animalistic monsters that are killed, and once they're killed they turn back into their loved ones. Yeah. Yeah, Mike says, imagine a world where giants believe dwarves were created to be a servant race for them, explaining why dwarves build structures of massive scale. The minor revolt, insert year, was the start of the dwarven independence. Absolutely. I've even heard uh, people say that like dwarves are like were derived biologically in some kind of way by the giants, and that's why dwarves built these things, and one day they hope that one of their newborns will be born into a giant class of something like that. I mean, of course. And again, it could be the day of the dwarven independence and are giving honor to the dwarves, which, great clue. Hey, I wonder what kind of monsters are going to be down in the dungeon. Giants, maybe. um yes, absolutely. Mike says, I already have a dwarven fall festival called beer Beertoberfest. Yeah, Beertoberfest. This could also be a celebration of the heroes that gave them their freedom. Yep, absolutely. The dwarves honoring the non-dwarves that helped um give them their freedom, which would be kind of strange for our player characters to go into a dwarven hold and see, you know, um, detailed statues to their non-dwarven heroes, which maybe the statues weren't carved, maybe they were turned into stone and placed upon monuments because to honor them, because we all know that if they get turned back to flesh, they're probably dead, and the dwarves know that they were honored for their sacrifice, and which could be a clue as to, like, hey, there's giants down here, right? And the dwarves are like, no, there's probably a little bit more than that. um I think in Greek mythology, I think the name of the gorgons, one of the gorgons was Medusa, and they also had other names, so there could be um, a cursed race or something like that that turns these people to stone. Hey, Sadre says, "Good morning. How are we this Monday? Very well, thank you. We are honoring our heroes today on this day of honored of our honored heroes. Now, uh, the honored heroes don't need to be combat related, but they very much could be. Heck, those heroes could have yeah, shit lords. Keeping dwarves out of D&D, a true act of heroism. Dwarves and all the other shorter races that all seem to blend together and don't have a particular identity for themselves. Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at you, gnomes. Um, they're always cool as like special snowflakes, but start to break down when you make them into real communities and societies and things like that. But anyway, yeah, our heroes, what their actions were, uncovering secrets, um, the classic, the hero plugged away a great evil that maybe someone pulled the plug and not allow is allowing that evil to run rampant in a particular place. Yeah, yeah. Sadre says, "What are heroes? Would the heroes of one people be the villains of another?" Hell's yes. Yeah, Chase is like, "Why dwarves? They're the only ones that don't suck." That's true. That's true. Because while I like gnomes, it always bothers me that they don't make any sense as a like a giant community of like 10,000 or something. Arch enemy of the goblins. Yep. Yep. Um, and of course, again, adding nuance, one person's heroes, somebody else's villains, right? I've always said a permutation of that, how we always think we're the heroes of our own story, but we're the villains in everyone else's. It's possible that, the dwarves erect these giant monuments to their dwarven heroes and come to find out that, like, oh, what did they do? Well, they collapsed caves on innocent people and trapped them down in the underdark, and they were able to interbreed, and now they're these great monsters, and the dwarves that the great dwarven heroes that did this in the past, now we're living with the ramifications and such. Maybe those goblinoids are the interbreeding results of ancient underworld dwarven peoples that couldn't get themselves out of the caves where they were stuck down there, right? So anything like that could happen. Also, maybe to solve the conflict that happens each of these years, maybe there is a group of people that just aren't they're ignored on this day, and they're like, we were part of this too. And maybe the player characters realize, like, you could have solved this by just talking to the lizard folk, right? We could have solved this with the three-armed purple people that slither on their stomachs and have mouths like lampreys or something. Like, it could be something as simple as, hey, I get that you love putting up these monuments to slaying dragons, but maybe the dragonborn are like, I don't like the idea of you honoring our people being killed. And like, your people, you mean dragons? They're like, yeah, yeah, you're having a little bit too much fun. Painting murals of slaying things with scaled flesh. Yeah. Um, Monada says, dwarves create weapons and armor that change their users' vision, and specific species transform into monsters for the people who use them. Oh, you mean like a Black Mirror episode where it's like uh you place the helmet upon your head, and you see, instead of seeing innocent people, you see a monster, and you go out willingly wanting to slay the monsters, but you're really just killing like women and children. That would be horrible, and I love it. I love it so much. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, the Dragonborn hero who actually had been a lizard folk. Yep. Yep. And Juanita's like, yep, exactly. Yeah. Everyone, all the heroes are like, yay. Or maybe the player characters are thinking, hey, if we just take all the armory and weapons off of the statues and wear them ourselves, we'll be just like them. And they're like, oh, you're gonna be just like them in more ways than one, right? Um, Besides, we've all known, as we get older in life, we realize that the the purity of some of our heroes isn't as pure as we would like to think of them. And that could be an element in our tabletop role playing games. For example, the idea that when it was revealed that like Martin Luther King had many affairs, and there were cinematic portrayals of such, that some people were taken aback. They were like, "Oh, this person that I really respected and changed the way changed the very laws and culture of our society had these flaws." Some people want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. And it could be the players may uncover some unsavory acts. And those unsavory acts don't necessarily need to be crimes. They could be unsavory just socially or what have you. And maybe some people get offended by that. The classic idea of the great hero who stands before hordes of evil. Maybe they really didn't stand in front. Maybe they tripped and fell and pulled a muscle in their back and ate a really ate, I don't know, gas station sushi and had us had the runs or something, or you know what I mean, like, yeah. Damn history classes that destroy our idealism. Yep. And it could be just the players, maybe they structure the stories that were told, as if to say, like, listen, sure, the hero had some issues and some problems or whatever, but it doesn't mean that the end result of their acts shouldn't be honored. you know and there could, maybe the players have to go up against a a pretty hardcore faction that's like, the great bridge that was built by a great hero, I don't know, didn't pay for his drinks or something like that. Stuff. We need to burn the bridge down. And everyone's like, "Oh, hold your horses now. Don't start burning bridges just because somebody didn't pay their debt at the local inn." You know, yeah. Gas station sushi was my Jethro Tull cover band. Gas station sushi. I can just imagine it. Want to get one of those like 1970s old T-shirts that are like kind of like worn away a little bit. Gas station sushi. Mike says, I'd like to run a world where the baseline species isn't humanity, it's goblins. The idea of their Independence Day would likely go into how or why hobgoblins came to be. Eugenics to create goblin super soldiers, and would introduce a new villain species. I love that. I love that idea. I like settings where, and there's been a number of them where humans and humanity are like very much the minority. Um, Heck, I think it's Talos Lanta that doesn't have humans at all, if I'm not mistaken. Marco says people are flawed no matter what good ideas they may stand for, but the idea remains after the person. Exactly. And there are people who do, like, you know, get on their Reddit and their social medias and start like ranting about the terrible behaviors of people who also are the progenitors of great ideas, and weighing one or the other, right? Like, you know, some people are pretty damn despicable, but they leave behind, a legacy or debris of their life. And it's like the person who and I'm not judging it in that they're good or bad, but it's like some people can't watch a movie if there's an individual in it that they don't agree with their like politics or their lifestyle or what have you, right? And it's like, on one hand I can understand it, on the other hand I'm thinking like, I don't care, all they're doing is, that would be like judging the person who helped put the bolts in the dashboard of your car, and you find out that they had some despicable thing that you didn't like about them, and then going like, I'm not driving my car anymore because they put in the dashboard. It's like, well, trying to separate one from the other, the art from the artist, has always been a thing. And separating the heroism from the hero it may be an issue, right? Like the players realize like, oh, they had a monument up to this person. They didn't actually do anything. It was actually a collection of 37 other people. you know, um, Actually just made me think of a series that I just finished watching. about lawman Bass Reeves, the real life individual who was used as a portrayal of the Lone Ranger in Western, riding a white horse and wearing a mask and stuff like that. And come to find out, like he was basically a freed slave, but no one knows that. And then heck, there was a movie about a Marine that went into 9/11 in New York City and came from, I think he was stationed or he was living in Maine at the time. He now lives here in Columbus, Ohio, his family. But yeah, came down to 9/11 and they portrayed him as a white dude in the movie, but he wasn't. And it's like, well, you got that a little wrong, the portrayal, but the person was really there and really did a thing. There are a lot of heroes who don't want to take credit for what they've done. So a intermediary has been inserted into the lives of those people. Sadre says, it's funny that you say that. Here in Brazil, largely because of machismo, extramarital affairs barely affect the history of our leaders. In fact, this is even used as validation. It's People don't like to say it, but it's kind of used that way here too. Although there is uh, our political system is very what do you call it, like double standards. It's very hypocritical in that way because we always expect our politicians here to portray themselves as godly and having a perfect family, but we know that's never the case. Even though people like to think of it that way, like I only vote for politicians that are religious and upholding. I'm thinking, like, how do you measure that? Shai says, yeah, we're within the Ring of Fire is kind of like that. Trolls and orcs are both way older than humanity and have ancient wisdom and magic. Yeah, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think it's like orcs are plant-like in within the Ring of Fire. Um, um, Sadre goes on to say, Emperor D. Pedro, I was the first, maybe, was known for keeping his mistress in a mansion close to the official palace of the imperial family. Now, using that as real world fuel, what if you had a great hero who of course had mistresses and had all these extramarital affairs and things like that, and that intermarital drama is the fuel for the dungeon itself. So there could be like relit, like ghosts, and I don't know, your classic love triangles type of a thing, but the dungeon is kind of built that way. So you have this so-called hero who is like doing things on the side, and then you have these other individuals who are like, don't he shouldn't take credit for that. I was the person that was, behind every great man is this great woman, and then there's a hag or something that stands up to that part, but then there's somebody else, the mistress is like, I was cast aside, I should have been the wife or something, and so on and so forth. Fill in the blanks. Very classic storytelling elements, but just turned into a dungeon. Yeah, and Shitlord says, and not only in Brazil. Yep, hells yeah. Timothy says characters go back in time and encounter a great hero and discover that they were a silent fart terrorist. um, sure, sure, why not? You know, what is your? I heard you were a great wizard. Well, I specialized in fartomancy. Watch as I take my semantic component of my hand, place it underneath my armpit, and you know. Anyway, Mike says the sorrow and resentment of a list of greatness would explain the aggression of giants. Hey, we were gods once, they exclaim. You worshipped us. Honestly, such a cutscene before a giant fighting a campaign would set the tone nicely. I love that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yep, the lost greatness. Hey, maybe a great hero was only a hero simply because everybody else was deleted out of the history books. And the Giants have been pissed about it ever since. They were like, we didn't go to battle with anybody, but now that you put up this great monument to a great hero that cast us aside, now we're pissed. Now we keep fighting. Yep, different kind of. It's just a different kind of Slayer. Whew, whew. Hey, yeah, those who smelt it dealt it. Surviving divorce court, mad hero points right there. So wrong, but so right. That hey, listen, I know you like giving me the shit there, lords, but a great breakup, m- a great hero that the players find out that there was really technically there was a the great noble family broke apart because of these affairs and things like that, and then they all went their own ways, and they're I don't know through arcane magic or curses or whatever, their bloodline became these other great evils, and they've been broken apart ever since. I like that. Been watching Frerin. I hope something I like about the writing is that the honored hero of the past has his shortcomings, yet their legacy still is an inspiration for others to do good. Wholesome vibes. I don't know what that is. I wish you guys could put a link in there. Well, no, maybe I wish I'd get in the Discord, but yes. Yeshai says, good point. Andrew should get a medal. I like that kind of stuff. Love it. Stinking cloud spell. Stinking cloud didn't come from nowhere. Yeah, it came from that gas station sushi. Mm-mm-mm. To be fair, the armpit fart could probably be used as a bard spell. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Bigby's finger of pulling. Gastromancy. Yeah. Pull my finger. Troll's like, I will pull the finger. And all the goblins are grabbing on the troll, like, don't do it. Don't do it. Oh man. Pulls the finger, makes a 60-foot cone of death and destruction. My lungs are burning. Roll 8d6 damage. All right, so um again, using this day of series as a prompt, um not only could the characters be involved in say there is a festival, say this is a public honoring of this hero or heroes or what have you. The players could very well get into conversations um, about what has gone on, what has happened before, and also maybe, just maybe, let's say you have yourself your classic Dungeons and Dragons background, and you're like, I hate WotC, I don't want anything to do with them. This is a good opportunity to little by little start changing the history of your world. And for example, in my world, tieflings do not have a lower planes origin. Tieflings are Fey origined. So maybe you have different origins for your world, and this is the way of bringing that about. Like maybe through delving into the various nations in your world, they find out that as they travel, stories aren't exactly what they used to be, and again, giving clues to into the dungeon. Like for example, maybe the curse of the Medusa was one that could be alleviated. Maybe maybe the player characters are like, hey, why don't we just build you a monument and tell your portion of the story, and then the Medusa may go, you know what, that's all I wanted. I just wanted somebody to recognize that I had an impact on the nation as well. I mean, while he was gallivanting around with his mistresses, I was actually running the nation. And the PCs are like, yeah, that makes sense. I don't know why we're enemies. And then Medusa's like, I don't know why we're enemies either. Right? Yeah. Juanita says, this conversation reminded me of an episode of Firefly. Yeah, Janestown, where after saving the town, the residents elected Jane as the hero of Canton. I miss myself some Firefly. I haven't seen it in a long time. Yes. Um, the opposite of this of the day of could be that at the end of the adventure, the heroes make this day becomes the honored heroes for them, and then as maybe the players make new characters or times pass, maybe it circles back around, the seasons change, and it comes back to new characters are walking through the woods, and they see these monuments there overgrown with moss and vines, and there used to be a footpath, but it's overgrown, and come to realize, like, wait a minute, they start pulling the weeds back and overgrowth, and they're like, Those are statues of our old characters. Yep. Or what will be even stranger, the players find that there are statues erected to them, but the statues are very ancient. And they go, wait a minute, it looks just like us. What happened here? And what a strange way to begin a story or end a story. Players go into ancient crypt door, go inside. When they get to the end of it, they see their statues made to them, but the statues are ancient, but it looks just like them. And then you're like, hey, what happened? And all of a sudden the doors close and they're trapped in there for generations or something. Jamestown, isn't that the place where everybody drank poison? I think that was, what was that? Not Jamestown, Jamestown, I think it was. You guys find it out for me. Because I'm going to have to end up taking a bio break and ending this real quick. So, guys, thank you very much for letting me do this for the show. Yes, we're going to get back into the usual prompts. By the way, if you want to see a prompt turn into the day of, please drop it into the chat. Leave it for a comment under the video for under YouTube or Twitch. Was it Jonestown? Jonestown. Okay. Jonestown. You're gonna make me do this. Jonestown. Poison. Here we go. After cult members attacked Congressman Leo Ryan, who was investigating the cult, Jones enacted a suicide plan at the Jonestown compound. A fruit drink laced with cyanide was given to children and adult members, killing more than 900 people. Jones died of a gunshot wound. And for those who don't know, the phrase drinking the Kool-Aid is where that came from. I wonder if it's in Wikipedia. Let me click this. Yeah. The People's Temple Agricultural Project, better known by its informal name, Jonestown, was a remote settlement in Guyana established by the People's Temple, an American cult under the leadership of Jim Jones. Yeah. Jim Jones, founder of the People's Temple. Oof. Oof. What I could see members, Jonestown life after mass migration. Many members of the temple believed that Guyana would be, as Jones promised, a paradise of utopia. After Jones arrived, however, Jonestown life significantly changed. Entertaining movies from Georgetown that the settlers had watched were mostly canceled in favor of Soviet propaganda shorts and documentaries on American social problems. Okay. All right. Back in the 70s. Yeah. Sorry. Um, yeah, Biobreaker. Heroes Farewell. yeah. Very, absolutely a hero's outro. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go. Yep. Taste of Ben says, funny, I thought the Kool-Aid phrase was from the electric Kool-Aid acid test. No. Let's see. Origin. Here we go. Let's see. Origin of the drinking the. Yeah, while use of the phrase dates back to 1968, talk about drinking the Kool-Aid, with the nonfiction book, The Electric Kool-Aid Acid Test, it is strongly associated with the events in Jonestown, Guyana on November 18, 1978, in which over 900 members of the People's Temple movement died. Yep, drinking the Kool-Aid. And I don't remember the acid test. Drinking the Kool-Aid is mostly strongly believing and accepting in a deadly, deranged, or foolish ideology or concept based only upon the overpowering coaxing of another. The expression is also used to refer to a person who wrongly has faith in a possibly doomed or dangerous idea because of perceived potential high rewards. Strange. You know what? We're going to do that tomorrow. That's it. Yeah. Taste of Banana says communist propaganda in Jonestown. Communism will make you want to drink will make you want to drink the Kool-Aid. Yeah, yeah. McCallan says characters discover a revered religious leader actually led a mass suicide and ends it on, but you get a free apartment. Oh shit. That's so horrible. I love it. Oh man. Yeah. Ooh, did Socrates drink the Kool-Aid? Oh, you guys are bad. I love it. We're gonna do that tomorrow. And what I mean by do that tomorrow is much like how today, and I think this is part of our how we become very cynical about these things where um we don't believe in true heroism. The idea that there's a person who is selfless, who sacrificed themselves for a greater good, we always are like, nah, that can't be true. And we like to poke holes in the purity of a thing. And so on the day of the honored hero, it could be going into this whole Kool-Aid thing, um, drinking the Kool-Aid and mass suicide and all the kind of stuff. It's possible. Yeah, Kool-Aid Tuesday. Yeah, we'll do a Kool-Aid Tuesday. Meaning that a maybe a very innocuous and very kind of innocent idea of a thing, drinking the Kool-Aid, has a very deep and dark origin to it. And in our fantasy world, it could be like a children's rhyme of the we in all cultures there are these like children's fables and rhymes like where they are sung but they have a dark origin, and so maybe we can do something like that tomorrow. We'll do some dark origins of very seemingly simple terms or phrases or something, and that could lead to adventure as well, where maybe people in this tomorrow, maybe we talk about people who drink a very sweet, a flavorful drink, but it has a very dark origin to it, and even the people there are just like, I don't know what you mean. Yeah, like glass bottom tankards taking the king's coin. My grandfather had a glass bottom tankard and used to make me um guess at the origins of why someone would have a glass bottom tankard. Let me see. No, I don't want to buy one. There it is. Yes. A tankard is a form of drinkware. Yes, I know that, Wikipedia. Um, Metal tankards often came with a glass bottom. The legend is that the glass bottom tankard was developed as a way of refusing the king's shilling, i.e., conscription into the British Army or Navy. The drinker could see the coin in the bottom of the glass and refuse the drink, thereby avoiding conscription. However, this is likely a myth since the Navy could press by force, rendering deception unnecessary. Yeah, in a bar fight, the first punch was thrown while the recipient had the tankard raised to his mouth. Another legend has it that the glass bottom was implemented to see the attack coming. That's what I always thought it was. A further story is that the glass bottom merely allowed the drinker to judge the clarity of their drink while foregoing the expense of a fragile pint glass. Glass bottoms are sometimes retrofitted to ancient tankards, reducing their value and authenticity. That's kind of cool. Yep. We'll have to do that too. Easy, shit lords. Easy. I know you like glass bottoms. You're like, would a glass bottom be smooth, or would it take two hands or one? Or the lyrics like "Ring Around the Rosie" being about the Black Death? Yep. Brothers Grimm Tuesday. Well, we could do. There's a ton of those Brothers Grimm, um, uh, 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 fables. What's the other term for them? Um, oh man, I'm gonna have to do some. Yeah, the rule of thumb thing has been debunked. I don't remember the rule of thumb. Oh, the idea of the rule of thumb. The yes, that's included. Yeah, we'll even include that in there too. Yep. Getting back to our trope Tuesdays, maybe, maybe going down that rabbit hole of TV tropes, the website. Yeah, no. Okay. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. And of course, as always, during the end part of our show, we get so many great ideas that come about. But thank you very much. Still working on the Obsidian Star tabletop role playing game. As a matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna just before we get out of here, I'm gonna show you something that I created here. Is it under Docs? Nope, it's under my Canva account. All right, let's go here and let's go here and let's bring this up and then you'll see you don't worry, you'll get there. You'll see what I created here. Let's go here. Nope, close you out and day of bam. All right. So something that I prepped up for the sci-fi thing. Let's see if we can get this as big as possible here. Okay. So you guys know about Obsidian Star, sci-fi, whatever. Well, I turned it into an acronym and post-humanism and such. And the acronym is a way to create let me scroll down here to the bottom, to create a prep and improv sheet for adventuring. So I use the Obsidian Star as a 12 because it's a D12 system. I like 12 seems to be very common in my head for some reason. So there's 8 letters and 4 letters making 12, and it's like an improv sheet. So in the improv sheet, and then I've got one that details this a little bit more, but like orbits or timers, orbits 3, 6, 9, 12. They're like clocks in Blades in the Dark. Start the adventure out with a bang. These are like each of these you should fill out like 1 to 3 things. A big bang, something that catches the people's attention. Start in media res for your gaming group. Whatever assignment there are. Stars, not stars in orbit or stars in the sky. Stars are your PCs. They are the main characters, and writing details about their background that you can incorporate into the adventure. Interactions are things that the players may have to, not just social interactions, but interacting with the environment. Of course, dangers. What kinds of dangers are going to be on the horizon the players are going to have to deal with. Insights, questions about post-humanism, questions about ethics and morality. Areas are exotic, 1 to 3 exotic locations that take place, NPCs, secrets they can learn. What kind of theme is this adventure going to have? I'm calling them assignments. Adversaries, of course, your enemies, and rewards. This font is extremely large, so I'm probably going to end up changing it. And then right here is one where we go into into some descriptions and stuff. So anyway, wanted to show you guys a little something I was working on a bunch of other things too, but this happens to be it. The improv sheet. Anyway, just wanted to show that off. Sorry, just having a little fun. Rule of thumb was simply a unit of measurement in many cultures. Caligula says, a whole week of Obsidian Star wouldn't be so wrong. I wasn't I feel like I'm trying to pat myself on the back, and I hate that kind of bullshit. So I don't know. Let me consider it. Let's do that. Work beckons. Great day, y'all. Hey, have a great one. Everybody have a great one. Might as well make it every day. 2024, the year of Obsidian. That's true. Shai says, work gesticulates wildly, only to be ignored with contempt. Exactly. Yeah, I don't know. We'll consider it. All right. I will consider that as an idea. So, guys, have a great one. I'm taking too much of your valuable time. Thank you for spending it here. Guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace and tranquility.